I may be disabled, but I still like to get out of the burbs and be out in nature. I love getting a healthy dose of fresh air and sunshine and letting my imagination run wild. I'm author Gwen Elise Clayton, and while I'm not wheelchair bound, I do have mobility issues that prevent me from climbing stairs, steep inclines, narrow pathways, or uneven terrain. I've decided to do a series here on the Rivervine YouTube channel called the Disabled Splorer because I am sure there are others who, like me, want to get out and enjoy the great wide open despite their physical limitations. My guide for this series is going to be the Kentucky Wildlands website at explorerkywildlands.com. The site is full of ideas for things to do, places to stay, and itineraries to help you plan your trip. The Kentucky Wildlands is the 14,000 square mile region of largely untamed wilderness in eastern and southern Kentucky. I first heard about Kentucky Wildlands at the Mini Source Summit that I attended March 8th. I talked about it in my video a couple weeks ago. This was also where I learned about the city of Hazard and its plans for downtown revitalization. During the first weekend of spring, my husband and I had a bad case of cabin fever, so we decided to get out of town. Hazard is about a 2-hour drive from our home in Ashland, Kentucky. We didn't want to drive much more than that because we wanted to have adequate time for adventurizing. Ideally, we'd like to check out Cumberland Falls or Hellier. I'm a big fan of this show. However, it is pronounced Hellier. Those were places where we'd have to leave on a Friday and come home on Monday if we wanted to have adequate time for adventurizing. I need to point out that we went in mid-March. Not much is blooming here. The trees are still pretty bare and one of the reservoirs had been drained and hadn't filled back up yet. All that aside, we still had a great time. We talked to some interesting people, ate some great food, and got plenty of fresh air and sunshine. Saturday morning, I checked the Marriott Bonvoy website to try to find a place near Hazard. My husband and I are Marriott members. This goes against my no franchise rule. We like to do mom and pop businesses as often as possible, but being disabled, I need to know that the hotel that I'm staying at is going to be accessible to me. It can't have slippy, slidey floors, and I need to have grab bars in the bathroom, and I have a difficult time climbing over any of those, the shower tub combo things that they have. Any of the Marriott brands are going to be handicap accessible. I can guarantee you that bed and breakfast inns aren't going to be. They always have stairs to get up to the porch and stairs to climb up to the rooms, and the bathrooms don't have grab bars, and it's just out of the question for me unless it explicitly says that it is ADA accessible. I checked the Marriott website, there was nothing. So I hopped on the Kentucky Wildlands website, did a search on Hazard, and turns out they have a Hampton Inn and Suites over there. I called Hampton Inn, made a reservation, and then we packed up and headed out of Dodge. We got to Hazard before it was time to check into our hotel, so we decided to head downtown and check out the sights. First on the list was the art station. The Appalachian Arts Alliance has converted the old Greyhound bus station into an event center with a commercial kitchen, a dance studio, a music room, and an outdoor patio. It was closed to the public the day that we went there. It looked like someone was having a 30th birthday party, but I did get some cool footage of the outside. Across the street, though, was Appalachian Apparel. So I stepped inside, looked around, and bought this way cool t-shirt. Check it out. The cafe inside the shop was closed, but the owner of the cafe was there, so I talked to her for a bit.
We are a lunch counter. We're open 4 days a week. I use local ingredients. I try to buy everything within a 50-mile radius, and I really try to work with all the farmers in the area. Mm-hmm. So we do a pay it forward program for people in need. I sell local art Some of it is just from people in the area. Some of it is from Hazard High School. Some of the proceeds go to the kids, and then the rest of it goes to my Pay It Forward program.
And what is Pay It Forward?
Basically, for $5, I can feed someone. I can give someone a meal. And we just have a board outside with tickets on it. Tells you what you can get, and they can literally bring it in. It's not odd. It's not uncomfortable for them. They have a ticket. They're just like any other customer. The only difference is someone else has paid for it. For $5, I figure I'm not making any money, but I'm not losing any money. We can fix someone some soup, a sandwich, a drink, chips, things like that. My husband farms, so during the summer we've always got fresh produce. We're always putting out fresh produce, and that's something, when you have people that are in need, they don't always get a lot of fresh produce. And that's something, their body needs. They don't need all the carby, heavy stuff all the time. So a lot of my people that come in here, they really enjoy just having a big salad.
Afterward, she called her friend who owned the bookstore around the corner to see if she was open that day. Downtown Hazard is a business district, so they don't have a whole lot of businesses open on Saturdays and Sundays, but the red spotted newt, clever play on words there, was open. So I got a chance to check it out and talk to the store owner.
This bookstore came about after I attended the Appalachian Writers Workshop at the Hyman Settlement School in the summer of 2019. And what I saw and had experienced most of my life was, as a lover of books, there was really no place in Eastern Kentucky to shop for books. So after leaving the Writers Workshop, I thought, we really need a place where readers and writers from Appalachia can kind of come together and spend some time together. There was a revitalization in downtown Hazard happening at that time, so it felt like the right place to be would be here in Hazard. Shortly after we experienced, obviously, the shutdown from COVID, but the bookstore flourished even under those circumstances. The Eastern Newt was my favorite thing to catch. I spent a lot of time outside, a lot of time in the creek, catching...
Are you from here?
Yeah, I'm from Knott County originally. I spent a lot of time outside and in the creek catching critters, and that was my favorite in particular. And I did a lot of that with my grandpa. And I lost him in 2009 of cancer. So this was kind of a way to pay homage to him. I think the name sticks with people. I tossed around like, such and such booksellers or whatever, but it just felt like it gave a cool logo and a cool name, and it's representative of Appalachia, I feel. One of my biggest sellers here in the store is local and regional literature, because I think it's hard to find. Some of it's out of print. I work really hard at curating a good selection.
I came home with this book titled Pop by Harlan County author Robert Gipe. It's a clever little book. It's illustrated, and it's about the 17-year-old girl who decides to make her own pop. And it's clever. It's written from 3 different characters' points of view, and it's just a very cleverly written book, and I greatly enjoyed it. So be sure to check that out. We drove to the Bobby Davis Museum and Park. The museum was closed due to COVID, and it was mid-spring, so the park really wasn't up for receiving visitors yet. But it was still a very pretty sight, and we enjoyed it. The sky started to get cloudy, though, and a windstorm came along, which made it perfect for our next stop. The old Campbell Cemetery has a legend about a man who was shot and killed there a long time ago. And when it rains, blood drips down Coffin Rock. And sometimes people have reported seeing ghosts of a little girl or an old man flagging down traffic. Well, we didn't see any of that. We did see some giant chickens, though. I was too scared to get any footage of them, but they were huge. We drove past this place with a sign that said Dukes of Hazzard Steakhouse. It was faded and it looked worn out, but we thought we would just drive by and check it out. And it turns out that place had closed long ago. There was a liquor store in the strip mall there. So we grabbed some Maker's Mark because we wanted some Kentucky bourbon, of course. So we grabbed some Maker's Mark and Coke and took it back to the hotel room. And as we were checking in, we learned that the Applebee's that is in the same parking lot as the Hampton Inn offers guests a 10% discount when they show their room keys. So we went to Applebee's, had a great dinner. Then we went back to our room, poured ourselves some bourbon and Coke, and planned our adventure for day 2. On Sunday, we had breakfast in the lobby of the Hampton Inn. And I gotta tell you, of all the hotels we've been in, that place had the best hotel breakfast with real fresh biscuits and Southern gravy and blueberry waffles and really good coffee. Oh my gosh. After we checked out, we filled up with gas and headed to the Hazard Trail Town. That was one of the sites listed on the Kentucky Wildlands website. So we plugged the address into our GPS and it brought us to the Perry County Visitors Center, which is inside Perry County Park. And this park was fabulous. The visitor center was closed, although there was a trailhead just right down the parking lot. But this park had everything. It had this great little walking path. It had a children's play area, huge swimming pool. And they had these murals with angel wings where you could stand in front of them and take your picture. And that's a real trend these days. Angel wing murals were done by local artist Francis Everidge. And it was a cold morning, so we didn't stay long. Once we left there, we headed over to Buckhorn Lake Wildlife Management Area. This place was a dam that was built, it was started in 1960, became a state park in 1964, and then finished in 1967. So what they did was they dammed the middle fork of the Kentucky River. And what this did was it completely flooded the town of Bowlingtown. So when you go into the lodge, you can see a little diorama of what the town looked like. And because we went in the off season, the water level was low. And if we had headed down any further down the path, we could have actually seen some of the washed out buildings that had been left behind. Now, one thing I want to say about going at the time of year that we did, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot because the trees aren't blooming and not much is open and it's cold, but it's a really good time for exploring because you don't have all of those distractions. It's not as crowded, and without having that much foliage, you don't have as much brush to block your view. So you can actually see out further and better. It's just a lot of brown and brownery, as some people like to call it. Please try to stay on the walking paths when you're out in a wildlife management area. It's sensitive habitat out there. So if you get off the paths, you might be destroying some of that sensitive habitat. So stay on the paths and don't litter. Please don't litter. Our last stop on the tour was Carr Creek Wildlife Management Area. Even in early spring, it looked like a popular place for boating and fishing, and the marina is open all year round. At this point, we got hungry, so we headed up to Prestonburg to a place called Fat Boys. We'll talk more about the rest of our Kentucky Wildlands adventure next week. Until then, I am your host, Gwen Elise Clayton. You've been watching the Rivervine YouTube channel, where I drop videos every Tuesday night. If you found this video interesting or informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you are a critical thinker with a sense of wonder. Links to everything I mentioned will be in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.